Narrator, tone, serious with a loud bang, Emily slammed her head against the wall, crimson blood splattering everywhere, seeping through the door crack and spreading out in despair. In her daze, Emily didn't see James breaking through the door. She thought he probably would never forgive her in this lifetime. Narrator, tone, sad. Emily silently closed her eyes, her consciousness fading away. Narrator, tone, serious with a creak, James pushed the door open and walked in. The group of vagrants, seeing Emily lying motionless in a pool of blood, didn't dare to approach and instead retreated a few steps.
James! Tone! Shouting, get out of here! Now!
Narrator, tone, serious. James shouted at the 5 vagrants with a cold glare, and they immediately vanished without a trace.
James! Tone! Angry Emily, did you think you could just leave like this? Did you ask for my permission?
Narrator, tone, serious. James grabbed Emily by her hair and dragged her out, leaving a long trail of blood on the ground that was strikingly visible in the dark night. Narrator, tone, serious. Emily didn't know how long she had been asleep, but she woke up with a splitting headache. The blurry ceiling made her think she was dead, but the strong smell of disinfectant nearby pulled her back to reality. Narrator, tone, serious. Suddenly, a piercing voice echoed in the room. Even though Emily had her eyes closed and couldn't see the person, her heart skipped a beat. Narrator, tone, serious. It was Anna. Narrator, tone, serious. Emily and Anna had been friends for many years, she couldn't possibly mistake her voice. Narrator, tone, serious. Emily quickly opened her eyes, and there stood Anna. But wasn't she supposed to be in a mental institution? Narrator, tone, serious. After being harmed by those thugs, Anna gradually lost her sanity. At home, she would often lock herself in the bathroom, trying to wash away the stains on her body.
Anna, tone, unfriendly. So? Married James yesterday and hospitalized today?
Narrator, tone, serious. Anna's cold voice made Emily uneasy. She didn't know Anna was aware of her marriage to James.
Anna, tone, unfriendly. James must be very fond of you, right?
Narrator, tone, serious. Anna continued, not waiting for Emily's response, and walked slowly towards her, speaking coldly again.
Anna, tone, unfriendly. Doesn't seem like he cares much. Let me help you with that.
Narrator, tone, serious. Anna suddenly reached out and pressed hard on the wound on Emily's head. The pain was excruciating, making Emily want to scream.
Anna, tone, unfriendly. Emily, compared to what I went through, this is nothing.
Narrator, tone, serious. Anna withdrew her hand, covering Emily's mouth tightly with one hand while pulling out the 4 needle with the other. Narrator, tone, serious. With a hiss, Anna pulled out the needle and then stabbed it back into Emily's hand. Narrator, tone, serious. The pain. Emily's hand trembled as she tried to escape, but Anna's grip was too strong.
Anna, tone, unfriendly. Emily, everything I suffered, I will make you repay double.
Narrator, tone, serious. Anna's words echoed what Emily had heard from James before, but his words had hurt her even more.
James! Tone! Angry. The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
Narrator, tone, serious. James's words replayed in her mind. Everyone hated and resented her, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James. Narrator, tone, serious. If that accident hadn't happened, Emily would have buried her love for James deep in her heart and silently wished them a lifetime of happiness. Narrator, tone, serious. But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either.
Anna, I really didn't know that accident would happen that day. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Emily struggled to speak. She thought she could understand the despair Anna had once felt.
Sorry? Do you think a simple apology can erase everything that happened?
Anna's eyes were bloodshot. Emily knew Anna wouldn't let her go.
Anna, James still loves you. Go back to him, he won't abandon you.
Emily had given up struggling. She thought she had already died last night. The fact that she was still alive for these few extra hours was a gift from fate. Mentioning James's name caused a change in Anna. Her smile froze, her expression became dazed. Suddenly, with all her strength, Anna jabbed the needle into Emily's hand again. Emily's heart tightened as she felt the needle pierce through her hand. The pain made Emily tremble uncontrollably. Anna, seemingly unsatisfied, jabbed the needle into Emily's hand several more times. Blood flowed freely, and Emily felt herself growing faint. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from outside the room. Anna stopped and rolled up her sleeve. Emily saw her hand covered in needle marks. Anna removed the needle from Emily's hand and then gently pricked her own skin. She seemed accustomed to this, quietly watching the blood seep out, a faint smile playing on her lips. Creak. The door opened, and when Emily looked up, she saw James. Emily suddenly felt a surge of emotion. He hurt her, hated her, but he couldn't let her go. That fleeting moment of happiness washed away the pain in her hand. She smiled, watching James slowly walk towards her. With her back to James, Anna silently placed Emily's hand on her chest and then gave a gentle push, sending her flying several meters away.
Anna!
James saw Anna's face and rushed over, gently cradling her in his arms. The tenderness in his eyes was a love Emily could never witness. Anna looked at James with equal tenderness, their love evident in their eyes. James held Anna close and then walked towards Emily.
James, Emily didn't mean to push me. Please don't make things difficult for her.
Emily was in too much pain to speak. Her hands were covered in blood, but why didn't James see her bleeding hands? Perhaps in James's eyes, Emily was like a speck of dust in the air, so insignificant that he didn't even notice her existence.
James, don't be like this.
Anna naturally took James's hand, their love evident as if she were his rightful wife. Emily bitterly smiled. She was the one James had married, yet in just one night, she had become the other woman. The more Anna persuaded, the more James's hatred intensified. Perhaps that was Anna's true intention. Emily was held tightly by James, unable to speak. Moreover, James might never listen to anything Emily said again. No matter how much she explained to James, it was just endless excuses.
Emily, Anna must have been blind to have known you.
Finally, under Anna's constant persuasion, James let go. Emily fell onto the hospital bed, and a fleeting look of disappointment crossed Anna's face. Perhaps she thought James was still too lenient with Emily. From the intense hatred in Anna's eyes, Emily saw a deep-seated resentment. Exhausted, Emily lay on the hospital bed, gasping for air. She had no strength left to look at James or to explain anything to him. Her whole body ached as if it were falling apart, unable to move. James's gaze never lingered on Emily. He reluctantly released his grip on her head and anxiously grabbed Anna's hand.
Does it hurt?
James was easily captivated by Anna, feeling sorry for her while still resenting Emily. Emily had lost completely, with no hope of redemption. The sudden entrance of the nurse broke the intimate atmosphere between James and Anna.
What happened?
James shielded Anna, and the nurse didn't see Anna's hand. Her eyes immediately fell on Emily's blood-stained hands.
How could you be so careless as an expectant mother? What if you hurt the baby?
The nurse's words struck Emily like a bolt of lightning. Expectant mother? Baby?
I'm pregnant?
In the room, apart from the nurse, the other three faces darkened instantly.
Emily, I can't believe you gave me such a big betrayal just one day after our wedding. You're unbelievable.
James, I didn't.
Emily shook her head repeatedly. She only ever wanted to be with James. The disdainful smile on James's face was something Emily had anticipated. Yes, in all this time, when had James ever believed her? Not once.
Didn't? If you weren't seeing someone else, how did your belly get big? Tell me! Tell me!
James lifted Emily's head, as if ready to smash it against the wall at any moment. Emily looked into James's angry eyes, and tears streamed down her face.
2 months ago, you came home drunk, calling out Anna's name, and tore my clothes.
James froze for a moment, glancing at Anna in surprise before falling into a long silence. Anna's words echoed what Emily had heard from James before, but his words had hurt her even more.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
Everyone hated and resented Emily, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James. If that accident hadn't happened, Emily would have buried her love for James deep in her heart and silently wished them a lifetime of happiness. But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either. Anna was clearly dissatisfied with Emily's appearance. She yearned to see Emily in unbearable pain. Emily suddenly looked up at Anna, realizing she didn't know Anna had been expecting before.
Surprised? Her eyes darkened, recalling a painful past. I was surprised too. I went to several hospitals, and they all told me I was expecting. What was I supposed to do?
Anna sighed coldly, her nose tingling. I didn't even know who the father was. Can you imagine how devastated I was? Anna's face was filled with sorrow, her eyes turning red, almost shedding tears in front of Emily. But she quickly held back. She didn't want to show any sadness in front of Emily. She only wanted to see Emily in despair. No one knew about Anna's unexpected situation, and the baby in her womb disappeared quietly. If it weren't for the opposition from James's family preventing her from marrying him, she wouldn't have ended up in a mental hospital. Anna knew the baby in Emily's womb was definitely James's. Instead of being angry, she looked at Emily's still flat belly with a gleam in her eyes.
All the suffering I endured, I want to return to you without missing a single detail.
Anna, please persuade James to spare my baby. I promise I'll never appear in front of you again. I'll leave tomorrow.
Emily grabbed Anna's hand desperately, still naively believing Anna would let her go. But Emily didn't know that Anna had long been consumed by hatred.
No, Anna, I'll leave right now. I'll go far away from wherever you and James are. Please, Anna, help me.
Seeing Anna remain silent, Emily quickly changed her tone and stood up, hoping to leave the hospital before James returned. This ill-fated relationship was Emily's debt to James. She would repay it, but she didn't want to pass the debt on to her innocent child. Anna pushed Emily back onto the bed with one hand, laughing at Emily's naive expression.
Emily, you want James to spare you? Who ever spared me?
Anna pressed Emily down on the bed. Emily, I'll love James for you, I'll have the baby for you. You can take your unborn child and leave this world in peace. Emily should have guessed this outcome. Anna hated her so much, how could she tolerate Emily carrying James's child? Emily touched her belly, feeling the small, unformed life inside, knowing it had to face an inevitable fate.
Emily! What are you trying to do?
Before Emily could recover from her sorrow, James's anxious voice filled the room. He rushed to Emily's side, pushing Anna protectively behind him. Anna collapsed against James's back, tears streaming down her face. Anna's words echoed what Emily had heard from James before, but his words had hurt her even more.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
James's words replayed in her mind. Everyone hated and resented her, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James.
If that accident hadn't happened, I would have buried my love for James deep in my heart and silently wished them a lifetime of happiness.
But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either. Emily's thoughts swirled as she remembered James's harsh words.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
The memory of his words pierced her heart. Everyone blamed her because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James.
If that accident hadn't happened, I would have kept my love for James hidden and wished them happiness.
But now, everything was irreparable. James despised her, and Anna was relentless. Narrator, tone, sad. Anna's words echoed what Emily had heard from James before, but his words had hurt her even more.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
James's words replayed in her mind. Everyone hated and resented her, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James. If that accident hadn't happened, Emily would have buried her love for James deep in her heart and silently wished them a lifetime of happiness. But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either. Seeing Ryan's sincere expression, the doctor didn't scold him too harshly. Ryan smiled sheepishly and followed the nurse to the ward.
Emily, you're finally awake!
Seeing Emily open her eyes, Ryan smiled joyfully like a big kid.
Emily, do you feel any better now?
Before Emily could respond, Ryan asked again.
Ryan, take me away.
Emily said with tears in her eyes. She didn't want to be entangled in James and Anna's world anymore. She just wanted to take her unborn child and live a simple life far away from them.
All right, we'll leave right now.
Ryan didn't want to delve into what had happened to Emily. He just knew that if she wanted to leave, he would take her away without a second thought. Ryan was about to lift Emily.
What are you doing? The patient just had a scare and can't move around. She needs to rest in bed.
Seeing her fierce demeanor, Ryan immediately stopped.
I understand.
Ryan obediently stood aside, watching Emily. The nurse came over to take Emily's temperature and repeatedly reminded her not to move around before leaving the ward.
Emily is the child. James's?
Is it mine?
Ryan had just weakly asked when James's voice appeared in Emily's ward. Both of them looked up simultaneously. Emily's nose tingled. Even now, James didn't believe the child she was carrying was his. Standing next to James was Anna. Ryan immediately recognized her as the one who had tried to run Emily over with her car.
James, how can you be with a woman like her? Do you know she just tried to run Emily over with her car?
Ryan clenched his fists and lunged at Anna.
Run Emily over? Ryan, do you know what you're talking about? Be careful, or I'll sue you for defamation.
James blocked Ryan with a snort. Ryan then realized that it was because James was backing Anna that she dared to act so recklessly. Emily just hung her head low. She didn't want to face James's cold, unfeeling face anymore.
Come with me for the procedure.
James didn't waste any more words with Ryan. He walked straight to Emily and grabbed her hand. With a sudden pull, Emily almost fell off the bed.
James! Do you know what you're doing?
Ryan rushed over. After years of not seeing him, James had become unrecognizable, no longer the gentleman Ryan remembered. James sneered and ignored Ryan's outburst. Seeing that James had no intention of letting go, Ryan clenched his fist and punched James in the face.
James, I don't know what happened between you and Emily, but as long as I'm here, you won't take her away.
Oh, so protective of Emily. Could it be that the child she's carrying is yours?
James touched his face. Over the years, Ryan was the only one who dared to challenge him.
James, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart.
Ryan lunged at James, and the two quickly became entangled in a fierce struggle. It wasn't until the hospital security intervened that they were separated.
Emily, to have so many men willing to fight for you, you must be really despicable.
Emily shook her head in tears.
James, I'm not despicable. I've only ever loved you.
James, shut up!
If it weren't for the security guards holding him back, he would have continued to beat James.
Shut up!
Didn't you promise to terminate the pregnancy? Terminate it, get a divorce, and then you can be with whoever you want.
Emily could only shake her head desperately.
I don't want to. Please don't terminate my child.
Emily cried, her heart breaking. It was their first and last child, and she didn't want to lose her last connection to James. Despite the pain he caused her, she still loved him hopelessly. Soon, Emily's cries brought the doctor into the room. The doctor, aware of James' status, didn't dare to intervene directly. He glanced around the room and quickly understood the situation.
Mr. James, Miss Emily's body is too weak for surgery right now. She needs to recover first, or she might never be able to conceive again.
The doctor handed Emily's medical report to James.
James, please, I beg you.
James frowned as he read the report, then released Emily's hand.
Surgery in 3 days. Rest well until then and don't go anywhere.
James threw down the report and left the room. The security guards, seeing James leave, assumed there would be no further conflict and also exited, leaving only Emily and Ryan in the room.
Emily, are you okay?
Ryan's heart ached as he helped her back to the bed.
Ryan, thank you.
Despite the crowd, only Ryan had stood up for her, and his kindness touched her deeply.
It's nothing. I didn't really help much.
Emily's thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion and despair. The words James had uttered still haunted her.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
His voice echoed in her mind. It seemed everyone despised her, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James.
If that accident hadn't happened, I would have buried my feelings for James and wished them a lifetime of happiness.
But now, everything was shattered. James hated her, and Anna wouldn't forgive her either. James wasn't joking. He raised an eyebrow and issued orders to his bodyguards before stepping aside. The bodyguards responded in unison and lunged at Ryan.
Ryan, how does it feel now? Still want to fight me?
Despite his fearless demeanor, Ryan was soon overwhelmed and couldn't stand up straight.
James, if you're a man, don't make things difficult for Emily. If you don't want her, I do.
Clutching his stomach, Ryan shakily got up from the ground. He had missed his chance with Emily once, and now he wouldn't let go. James merely gave a cold smile and signaled the bodyguards to continue. Ryan gritted his teeth and held on, determined to save Emily. In the hospital, Emily anxiously waited for Ryan. He had been gone for a long time, and there was still no news. She knew James's temper well and feared the worst.
Please be safe, Ryan.
The thought of James and Ryan fighting made her uneasy. She hurriedly got out of bed, but was stopped by a familiar voice.
Emily, where do you think you're going?
Emily looked up to see Anna standing at the door with a cold smile, as if she had anticipated her escape. The sinister look on Anna's face was even more terrifying than before.
Are you trying to find James again?
Anna barged in rudely. The bodyguards at the door saw everything but turned a blind eye. Emily realized once again that she was helpless.
Anna, please let me go. I'll leave with Ryan today and never appear in front of you and James again. I beg you.
Anna's gaze made Emily feel a deep sense of despair.
Emily, you said the same thing before. But what happened? In less than a day, you were back in front of James.
Emily didn't know how to respond. She hadn't wanted to appear last time either, but would Anna understand?
Anna, I promise this is the last time. Please let me go. The child is innocent. Once I give birth.
Before Emily could finish, Anna's expression turned terrifying. The word child struck a nerve.
Someone. Take her to the operating room for the procedure.
Emily's heart was heavy with the memories of James's hurtful words that echoed in her mind.
James's words replayed in my mind. Everyone hates and resents me because I invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James.
Emily's thoughts drifted back to that fateful day, and she couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt. Emily could still hear James's harsh words echoing in her mind as if they were engraved in her memory.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
Those words haunted her, tormenting her soul. Everyone despised her because she had simply invited Anna for a walk before her wedding with James. If the accident hadn't happened, Emily would have buried her feelings for James and wished them happiness from afar. But now, everything was beyond repair. James loathed her, and Anna sought her downfall. Anna's words echoed what Emily had heard from James before, but his words had hurt her even more.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
James's words replayed in her mind. Everyone hated and resented her, all because she had invited Anna for a walk just before her wedding with James. If that accident hadn't happened, Emily would have buried her love for James deep in her heart and silently wished them a lifetime of happiness. But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either. Emily's mind was filled with James's hurtful words, and she shuddered as she remembered them.
The misfortune Anna suffered, I will make you experience it 100-fold.
She had hoped to bury her love for James deep in her heart and silently wish him and Anna a lifetime of happiness. But now, everything was irreparable. James hated her to the core, and Anna wouldn't let her go either. Ryan's voice grew fainter until it faded into silence. Emily followed James to the door of an operating room. Anna had already informed the doctors and nurses, who were lined up waiting for them. James's face remained expressionless as he stopped at the door. Emily wished the path could be longer, she just wanted to walk a little further behind James.
James, don't forget what you promised.
As James turned to leave, Emily hurriedly blocked his way. James frowned. Though he hadn't said much to Emily, he seemed completely indifferent, not even remembering what Emily was referring to.
I'm going for the procedure, you save Ryan.
Without James's nod of agreement, she wouldn't step into the operating room.
All right.
Emily laughed through her tears. She was exhausted from loving James, she was worn out and couldn't take any more torment.
Miss Emily, let's go in and prepare for the procedure. It will be quick, less than 30 minutes.
The nurse tried to comfort Emily, who looked utterly hopeless. But they couldn't understand the pain in Emily's heart. Emily closed her eyes, not daring to watch James leave. But in the end, she couldn't help but take one last look at James. He was walking freely, hand in hand with Anna, with laughter and joy trailing behind them.
James, goodbye.
Emily walked in without looking back. The sunlight lazily shone on the glass outside, but Emily's heart felt so cold.
James! Where did you take Emily?
Ryan was still lying weakly on the ground. He tried repeatedly to get up, but his body was battered by James's bodyguards, leaving him barely able to move. He tried and failed again and again.
She's inside, undergoing a procedure.
For some reason, when Emily walked into the operating room calmly, James's disdain for Ryan lessened. In James's eyes, although Emily had used every means to marry him, she might truly love Ryan, otherwise, she wouldn't have been so composed.
James, you jerk! Do you know how much Emily cares about that child? Why do you have to treat her this way?
Ryan wished he could stand behind Emily like a man and protect her, but now, all he could do was lie on the ground, filled with regret. Ryan felt indebted to Emily, and Emily felt the same. This was a doomed relationship between Emily and James, and Ryan had no need to get involved. James wouldn't go back on his word. He had promised Emily to save Ryan, so he wouldn't let him die in the hospital. With a command, James had Ryan taken to a ward.
Get away from me!
Ryan resisted with all his strength, pushing them away and crawling step by step towards Emily.
Emily, as long as you're willing, if you take one step towards me, I'll take the remaining 99 steps.
James didn't stop Ryan, letting him crawl step by step. It was only a short distance of a few meters, but it seemed to take Ryan half a lifetime to crawl, leaving a trail of blood behind him, glaringly red. Step by step, Ryan felt he was getting closer to Emily. Time, please slow down, so I can stop Emily in time. Half an hour later, at the door of the operating room.
Emily, open the door! Don't do anything foolish!
Ryan banged his head against the door, but there was no response.
What are you doing?
James rushed forward to stop him. During the procedure, any sudden disturbance could lead to failure. Just as James approached, the door of the operating room burst open. On the hospital bed, Emily was touching her abdomen in despair, but it was already empty. She held back her tears. In the end, she couldn't hold on to her last hope for James. Emily turned her head and saw James and Ryan.
James, loving you was my greatest mistake. Ryan, thank you for your love, but I don't deserve it.
Emily closed her eyes and then jumped off the bed, leaping out of the window into the warm sunlight. Everything happened so suddenly. The nurse screamed and hid to the side. No one had time to stop Emily. Outside the window, Emily fluttered like a weightless butterfly, swaying in the wind, and within seconds, she fell heavily to the ground. On the ground, a shocking flower bloomed, crimson and poignant, stirring emotions.
Emily, no!
Ryan reached out and shouted, but Emily could no longer hear his call. James' heart suddenly tightened. He rushed to the window and saw Emily coughing up blood in large gulps. Seeing Emily staring at him, James felt an inexplicable, intense pain in his heart. James ran out of the hospital. He didn't know why he was acting this way, he just couldn't control his legs. He used to wish Emily would disappear from his life, but now that she was actually fading away in front of him, he felt an overwhelming sense of discomfort. His heart clogged up, as if he could hardly breathe.
Emily.
James was the first to rush down. On the ground, Emily lay with her eyes open, looking at the warm light in the sky. She didn't know if she was going to heaven or somewhere else. She just hoped the place she was going to wouldn't have James. James reached Emily and tried to hold her, but she pushed him away with all her might.
James, we're even now.
Blood flowed more and more from Emily's mouth. She seemed unable to feel her heartbeat anymore. She spoke softly, as if using all her strength. Finally, they were even. Emily turned her gaze to the sky. She didn't know where her soul would go in the next second. She didn't have time to grieve, she just wanted to appreciate this world that had hurt her so many times one last time.
Emily! Who allowed you to leave? Get up!
James frantically tried to lift Emily. She struggled weakly but eventually lay quietly in his arms. This was the moment Emily had longed for years, but she had never imagined the story would end so tragically. James' embrace was still as warm as ever, but there was no going back for either of them. Ryan begged the doctors to bring him down. From a distance, he saw Emily nestled peacefully in James' arms, smiling.
Emily, why did you have to be so foolish?
That morning, Emily had promised to run away with him, and he had been happily dreaming of their future together. But no one had expected such an ending.
Ryan, thank you. Thank you for standing by me when I was most helpless.
Emily, you have to hold on. You promised me you would run away with me. You promised.
He wanted so much to reach out and hug Emily, but even such a simple wish was beyond his grasp.
Ryan, forget about me. I gave my heart to James. I can't love anyone else.
Emily's breathing grew rapid. She felt her mind drifting. She thought, in a few minutes, she would be like those free clouds in the sky. Ryan shook his head repeatedly. Why did it have to come to this? Seeing Emily lying peacefully in his arms, James' heart trembled, and a tear quietly fell. It landed on Emily's face, but she never opened her eyes again. Emily's hand, which had been clutching James' collar, slowly fell. The sky grew darker, and the sun quietly hid away. Rain drizzled down on Emily's body, washing away the blood on her face. From a distance, she still looked like the adorable girl from years ago.